But importantly, please make sure that you join our streams as well. We have a couple of you. We're talking about what we need to do with monetization of politics right here in Ghana. Importantly, we have the Office of the Special Prosecutor roping in, says MPP and NDC, just recent elections. Of course, the recent one will be the Ayawaso East election we held earlier, a week before. We had the MPP presidential primaries as well. And so it was a way forward, really. And the NDC leadership, they've taken the lead already and given the signals that a committee has been put together. That committee has been tasked to investigate, and it looks like the majority side in Parliament has also joined in the conversation. And what we're getting also is a mixed bag of views from all of you. Some are asking, hasn't this happened before? Are we playing ostrich? Haven't we always known? And the question we're asking this morning, step in the right direction by the NDC, by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and then what could be done as well. So I have lawyer Apia Dankwa here, lawyer Apia Dankwa of the United Party. Good morning.
Good morning, Papa Ro.
Great, good to have you.
Yeah,
I hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, I had a very quiet weekend. Yeah.
All right. And then Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin is here. Good morning to you, Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin.
Good morning, Papa Ro.
As the UTAC chapter of UEW, you're a member of the UTAC chapter of UEW,
Exactly.
Right? Which other concerns do you have currently?
About UTAG. Obviously, I think in recent times you heard about some press releases from some other universities, branches. And, I think that so far that has been the concern, but leadership, NEC leadership has taken steps, to discuss it with the minister and other stakeholders.
Okay.
So we are still managing the process. And then I think that, money is everything to teachers. So obviously, our conditions of service is what we are looking at next. Okay. And I think that the government is showing positive signs and goodwill, to improving our conditions of service.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right, so we'll just take you through what the meal is. Let me just also acknowledge some of you who across Facebook page. We're grateful that you join us. We're also streaming live on YouTube as well. And then TikTok, Zelis Doing. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. He's watching us from the UK. Posky is one of the scam accounts. Benjamin Nuno, if you can block some of those. I see Posky GA. Please scam them because they are worrying individuals like David Pamford. Good morning. You've joined us as well. Justice Neo Date Mills lives in Finland. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. And Prince Nania York, Beatrice Abnedu, take it away when you die. That's the account. It follows us a lot. We're grateful. Yeah, Obrimpon Kaba. I see Yao Febri as well, and a couple of you. Kobe Dave, Ebenezer Boating, and a couple more people. Thank you for joining. Abuchi Samuel, I see. Take a Yao Febri. All right, please. So we'll take you through a number of the. We'll first go to the NDC. They have put together a release. There's a committee that has been set to investigate the alleged vote buying, Ayawaso East. And so there were sharing of items. And indeed, some of the delegates did confirm that they took home television sets. Some had, is it tissue boxes? I remember very well. And Kivu, there's a Kivu item, one of the Kivu items also that was also distributed. So an array, assorted products. So you take home the television assorted product. And we're told one of the candidates allegedly also gave out motorbikes. I can't verify that, but again, that was also, but motorbikes, I do agree that motorbikes and Aboboy and some of those ones have become synonymous to our campaigns because it also is a means for transportation for many people. So they tend to do that. So we have the one from the NDC party in itself. We'll start with that before the majority caucus. All right. So if you go to Fiavi Kwete's Facebook, you would also see him having posted that as well. So we'll apprise you of that. And this is what Fifi Fiavi Kwete, that is the General Secretary of the NDC. And so we'll take a look at that as quickly as possible. And it clearly states after he posted earlier that, and this one, he had, earlier before this one, he had said they had put together a committee. It included the majority leader as well. And so came in with this one. So it says that, so he started, before we bring you this as well, there's an earlier statement that's going to give you a certain premise for which we're giving you this. So just to give you a certain premise on which we're putting this on the screen for you. So a committee was put together, constituted to investigate the inducement and vote buying at Ayawaso East primaries, and this one directly from Fiavi Kwete's site. And it says the committee will be chaired by Kofi Totobi Kwache, and had earlier named Mahama Yariga and lawyer MFA Fuga serving as members. And then subsequently, the majority leader, because of the position he holds, had to be taken out, and what you saw on the screen then gives it a proper context, being that Fifi Fiavi Kwete and the composition of that committee, the decision is for the replacement of Mahama Yariga because of the position he holds on the majority side. They also have issued a statement and they hold a certain position, and so will be replaced by Inusa Husseini, a legal practitioner, former member of parliament, former roots minister as well. And subsequently, the majority side of the House also wants a thorough investigation into this as well. You saw that on the screens earlier. They also say this should not be happening. Investigations should be undertaken. And they even go to the extent of saying that they want the election annulled, and whatever that means. I mean, if it's annulled, does it mean that those individuals, if they are disqualified for this, cannot take part in the next, if that becomes the conclusion? Because they wish to strongly condemn these developments against the background of the agenda to reset the politics of the country. And they say that after extensive deliberations on the matter, their leadership, as well as the extended leadership of the majority and the party, they've come to that conclusion as well. What do you say, Lawyer Pierre Dankwa?
Yeah, so let me wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Wish yourself a good morning, and my brother, Prof, a good morning. First of all, I must condemn the alleged acts of vote buying on Saturday. From what I'm hearing, not only did they share TVs and motorcycles, but they also shared kusuyanimeko, egg and pepper. That was also shared. Now, having condemned the acts, let me also commend the position, commend the president for the recall of His Excellency Baba Jamal. You know, if you are a High Commissioner, you are Ichi, His Excellency. Commend the NDC for condemning the acts and instituting a committee to investigate the said allegations, and also commend the majority for their position and how seriously they take what happened on Saturday in terms of they calling for the annulment of the primaries and banning the perpetrators from contesting in future primary. Now, these condemnations are serious because of the impact of vote buying on our democracy and, in effect, on the purpose of our democracy. You know, I think I've said it countless times here. The purpose of our democracy is to protect our lives, is to protect our liberties, is to protect our fundamental right to pursue our own happiness. It's for this purpose that in 1992, the people of Ghana took upon ourselves the 1992 Constitution. And the Constitution broadly did two things. And we see these two things in its nature. The Constitution, one, was created a democracy that was both constitutional and liberal. And when you say both constitutional and liberal, the democracy was constitutional in the sense that it limited the powers of government, and was liberal in terms of the fact that it entrenched the view of liberal democracy that those who govern must do same with the consent of those they govern. And that's why we vote. When we vote, is the means in which we grant our consent to people who govern us to govern. Also, we appreciate that because of the purpose of democracy, of this democracy, that it is important that we sustain it. We do everything in our power to sustain it, and you sustain democracy by the state, by the state institutions. When I say the state institution, I mean government. I mean government in all its forms and shapes: the executive, parliament, the judiciary, and political institutions like the parties, like the journalists, like the CSOs. We create that right political culture. We create that right political culture that holds political leadership accountable. We create that right political culture that more or less would tolerate diverse views. Now, we also create a right political culture that will not turn this democracy into other forms of governance, which will make it very difficult for us to fulfill the purpose for which we had a 1992 constitution in the first place. And so we can, if we sit down and allow this democracy to be destroyed, we can have a kakistocracy, that is a government by the least of society, or we could have a plutocracy governed by the rich. Now, one of the biggest dangers to our democracy is vote buying. You read our laws, I think the People's Representative, the PNDC Law 284, and it criminalizes public elections. It's clear there. Public elections are criminalized. But you realize that in spite of these clear terms of the law, in time past, because of how vote buying has become a part of our democracy, you recall that in the by-election, the Asen, was it Asen North, Asen Central, what was it called? Jasikwesen by-election.
Asen North.
Asen North. Vote buying was massive. You remember? In fact, we heard them sing, Yaje, 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 oh. You also recall that because of how we allowed vote buying to become a part of our democracy in the Dreso by-election, there were allegations that people that they were sharing money to the extent that they said they were sharing weed. You heard that? They were sharing weed. Yeah, because the political party that has sponsored the president at that time did not recognize that the essence of politics is to create virtuous men. And so because they were doing vote buying in their party, and because they were not condemning sin, it was getting into the national terrain. Bro, was getting into the national terrain to the extent that people claimed that weed was shared and yet nothing was done. As in, we've not had any investigations, or nobody has faced the consequence of the weed that was shared during the Dreso by-election. Now, it is refreshing that this time we have a responsible party, the NDC, and they feel that in spite of everything that has happened in the past, they feel that they must condemn vote sharing in their bid in fulfilling the obligation as a political party to create that right political culture. Now, the problem I see in all this is the question: is elections that happens internally, do they constitute public elections? Because if you read the laws, the criminalization of elections in this country, in my opinion, has to do with public elections. And so my personal view is that as much as I will commend the steps the OSP has taken, I'm surprised that we didn't hear of the OSP investigating into the sharing of money during the MPP's, what's it called, presidential elections until this issue came up. As much as I'll commend the OSP also designed to investigate this, what would this amount to? In the sense that is elections, internal elections, as pertains within the parties, would that amount to a public election so that this vote buying can then become an offense for which people can be prosecuted and possibly convicted? I feel that as much as I commend the president, as much as I commend the majority, if there's a time for us to make this clear, as in to make it clear that the criminalization of vote buying is not just about public election, but also about private election. So that steps ought to be taken immediately to amend the laws to state clearly that you cannot give gifts, you cannot give bribes, even during internal party elections. Because what vote buying does is that it voids the consent, which is a necessary component of how power is gained in a liberal democracy. Because one of the underlying fundamental principles in any credible liberal democratic system is the view that those who govern must do same with the consent of those they govern. So immediately that consent is bought either by force. As when I say by force, people are beaten, like happened in the MPP's special delegates, super delegates conference, where our rep at Northeast was beaten to the extent that he almost lost his eyes. When people are beaten, then
your rep?
Yeah, that's what. In fact, that was the final nail in the coffin. That made us
Alan Chematin's agent.
Agent. You see, when people are beaten,
that'll be 2023.
Yeah, it voids that consent. Or when people are induced by bribe, by TVs, by motorcycles, by inkosia and egg, or sometimes bentua.
If you give somebody egg, is that bribery?
It's inducement. It's inducement, you understand? Then what it does, it voids that consent and impacts the very foundation of this liberal democracy. So if indeed our commitment is to build the right political culture, then it's not about we condemning this act. People who have political authority, and by people who have the executive itself must initiate something, Parliament itself must amend the laws and make it a crime to buy votes or to induce elections, not just elections that are public, but also in private elections. Because, like I said, the only way in which we can sustain this democracy is to create that right political culture. And sometimes you don't create that right political culture just by soft law. You don't create by just soft law. But we must make a clear law. Because, like I said, there's still a bit of debate as to whether or not internal elections constitute public elections or not.
But the political parties are public institutions.
Yes, but
their actions are
but their elections
are not public
elections.
Okay.
Yeah, you understand? But that's a debatable view. It's not like that's a debatable view. But I'm saying that for us not to have any confusion, let us expand the definition of the elections that come under Section 33 of the PNDC Law 284 to include also elections what's called done by private institutions, as in by political parties, even in our schools. Because we want to build the right political. If you go to our universities right now, even the vote buying is happening, even in the secondary schools.
There's vote buying,
even
SRC,
all of
and all that.
You understand?
They share money.
Oh, they you see, it's not just about sharing money. So share money and other things that will induce, will cause an unlawful or an illegitimate inducement for people to vote for you. What that does is that it then creates that culture. Because like I'm saying, for us to sustain this as democracy, then we need the right political culture. That means that political leadership should go beyond condemning or this consequence. It's good. It's good that the president has recalled. I've heard people say that after he was going to resign. But you see, right now, it is on record that he was recalled. And also agree with the majority's view that this election should be annulled. It should be cancelled. And the perpetrators should not be allowed to take part in the next primary, as if it is annulled. I agree with that. They're all good and fair. And for me, it tells me that this current NDC is a very responsible political party. But having said that, I'm saying it's not enough. We should go into the law and take away any kind of confusion as to what kind of elections fall under the ambit of Section 33 of the PNDC Law 284. To expand that to include not just public elections, but all elections. You understand? So there's no confusion, because we ought to, as a matter of urgency, create that right political culture that will protect this our democracy from becoming a plutocracy. Because imagine if Kwame Nkrumah had come, or as he was born in this our generation, the greatest African of the millennium. That's undoubtedly the greatest president Ghana and arguably Africa has ever had. We would never have had Kwame Nkrumah, because he wouldn't have had the financial muscle to compete. But we've created a system where if you do not have that financial muscle, whether by yourself or you do not have people behind you, as in faceless people behind you who have that political muscle, then no matter how patriotic you may be, no matter how wise you may be, no matter how a great leader you may be, you will never have the opportunity of leading. You understand? Now, if that becomes the case, then can we say that we have a democracy? Then this is not a democracy. Then this becomes a plutocracy, governance by the rich. And the 1992 Constitution did not create that. And for good reasons that we did not create a plutocracy. That we said we wanted a democracy. We wanted a democracy that was both constitutional, in that it limits the powers of government, but also liberal, in that it entrenches the view that those that govern must only do same with the consent of those that govern. And so, for me, we do not have any choice, but we must do everything in our power to protect the purpose of, or the focus of our 1992 Constitution, which was to create a democracy and not a plutocracy. And as much as we sit down and allow vote buying, people to induce, then we will no longer have a democracy. But what we'll have is a plutocracy, and we don't want that.
Okay, we'll apprise you of Section 33 of PNDC Law 284 for all of us to get to know what all the indications are. But you go in there and it clearly states that, well, whoever is deemed to have offered a bribe, that's an act of vote buying in itself. I mean, just literally trying to explain, because it says a person commits the offense of bribery if that person directly or acting through another person gives money or obtains an office for a vote in order to induce the voter to vote or refrain from voting, or corruptly does an act on account of a voter having voted or refrained from voting, or makes a gift or provides something of value to a voter to induce the voter to vote in a certain way, or to obtain the election of a candidate, or as it continues, if that person advances or pays money or causes money to be paid to or for the use of a person with the intent that the money or part of it shall be expended in bribery at an election, or knowingly pays money or causes money to be paid to a person in discharge or repayment of money, wholly or in part, expended in bribery at an election. And it goes on and on, talks about the type of actions clearly that give every indication. And we've seen all this. And that's why the Office of the Special Prosecutor wants to go deep into this, not just looking at the Ayawaso East incident, but also the primaries of the MPP as well. Indeed, there were some delegates who said they were waiting for Brian Champon's money. There were others who had our sources within some of the camps also indicated that they said they had given money to Chairman A or campaign manager A, and the money just didn't go to the delegates. It should be a concern for all of us, shouldn't it be?
Yes.
How do we keep that?
Yes. So good morning once again, Papa Ro and lawyer. And good morning to Ghanaians and our viewers. Special good morning to UTAG family at UEW and UTAG National. Yes, Papa Ro, whatever is happening is not actually something that any ordinary Ghanaian will be proud of. And it has been a call since this thing is turning out to be a problem to our democracy. And obviously, when you look at the reactions, from the NDC side, the president himself, his action, and reaction to what happened, will tell you that yes, the president is hearing, some of the things that we are putting out in the media. I think that the NDC as a party and its leadership has equally demonstrated that kind of control, and then the willingness to stand by, their initial claim that any party member, any government appointee who would, sort of engage in any form of, corruption and bribery allegations, you will stand alone. And that, I hope you remember that one, the stand alone, theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, again, the reaction from, the majority caucus in Parliament. I think that these three wings, of the ruling government, make it clear that, yes, they themselves, are not happy with whatever is happening. Now, Babaru, you see that Ghanaians basically, are also reacting to whatever, the members of parliament, the party, and the president has said. And people believe that, yes, that's a step in the right direction. I want to believe that, as you rightly said, for me, yes, the president has said what he has to say, but I was equally expecting that he could, in his statements, right?
You're not satisfied with the president's? I thought
No,
you said you were okay.
I am satisfied with it, but what I am adding is that he could have completed the entire process, if he had equally indicated that all those people, whoever is found culpable, of that offense, should be handed over to, the investigative bodies, YOCO, and all that, for the law to deal with them. I think, there's one of the laws which talks about the fact that anyone found in this type of act can be charged with imprisonment, right? Lawyer?
Yeah.
I don't know which of the laws, but I think I read something.
It's section 33. 33 and 34.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it the PNDC law
Yeah, it's section
24?
33 and 34.
Okay.
Yes.
Which talks about
33 and 34.
vote buying and then the repercussions.
The penalties.
The penalties, yeah. Now, you see, I am of the strong opinion that if the president had added this, then for me, that commitment.
If the president had added what? The investigation or what?
Yes, I mean, handing these people to the law enforcement agencies, for investigations to,
You mean he should direct?
Yes, he's putting it within his communication, all right?
But that's a primary of the political party.
Yes.
He's dealing with Baba Jama as a public officer.
Exactly.
So wherein does the president come to make intrusions into a political party activity? I want all of us to put that in context.
It's not about president making an intrusion, all right? It is about, putting in a public statement, all right, to indicate his commitment.
Is it because it is his political party?
Not because it is his political party.
If that is the case,
yes.
Do you think the president can issue a statement thereof if it was for the MPP? And we saw this. Should he be doing that? He should
yes.
be.
If the president,
because that's an internal election.
Yes. Yes.
Just like it is for the NDC.
So for me, the act that you just referred to is not an act of any political party. It's
But it's
act.
not the president who acts on it when it's breached.
So for the president to even say it, okay, sort of makes that law so much entrenched and strong. And its implementation. Remember that the law has been there, isn't it? It has been there since the PNDC era, isn't it? But for now, what it seeks to do is that when the moment the president speaks to it, all right, the implementations of it becomes more deeper and stronger. It is not for the president to enforce it. That's why I understand. But the president added his voice for the implementation to take shape and to be enforced is what I am looking at. I'm not saying that the president
And I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say there's a breach. Is it the president who has to take the action and then direct, or that we have various enforcement agencies within the state who should look at its breach? That's all I'm asking.
So that's the second point that I am going for. That probably the president speaking to it and to probably say that anybody who is found, remember that the president has equally added his voice to what Fifi Kwete said, the standalone thing, all right? And this is one thing that could have added so much power and voice to the standalone, claim. And that is where I am saying that if the president had probably put in a paragraph in that statement to indicate that for the purposes of the reset agenda, for the purposes of ensuring that I maintain that high-level public office integrity, all right, my own appointee is handed over to Iyoko, OSP, CID office for investigation. That doesn't mean that the president has concluded, on anything. All right. So that is my point. I feel that, yes, vote buying is not something that we have to entertain as a country. And we cannot also say that most of the politicians have not been engaged, especially the elected politicians. Now, what I believe is that this is a starting point for a paradigm shift, and that is very important. At least, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, and at any point in time, we start a process, from a place. And so we cannot say that what has happened in the past is a justification for us to allow this particular incident, to slide. My view on it is that if the special prosecutor believes that they need to investigate, what happened last week and the MPP, primaries, that is fair. But I want to ask that must he take the special prosecutor over 1 week, for it to come out and probably also, pay this particular investigation to what happened in the past? By that, I'm not saying that whatever allegations or vote buying allegations that took place during the MPP presidential primaries is something that we need to probably endorse. No, it is not good. But if the special prosecutor is going to go to the past, does it mean that it is equally going to investigate other vote buying, activities in the past?
Whether, I don't understand.
Yes, I'm saying that.
It just happened a week ago.
A week ago, all right.
You're saying a week ago is in the past?
Oh, yes. Even yesterday is past.
I see.
Okay, because if you are constructing a sentence, okay, and it is, I am going to TV3 today, all right, that is present, isn't it? But I went to TV3 yesterday, has taken the past form. Is that not the case? Yes, so it is in the past. But my question or worry is that, is it going to probably take retrospective effects and then probably look at other vote buying, activities that have gone on, at least within the past 1 year, within the past 2 years?
Why?
Or in the past 10 years.
Why?
What is good is not good. What is not good is not good. And therefore, the fact that it has happened in the past doesn't mean that it cannot be investigated, all right? But if the OSP decides to probably look at the events of last 2 weeks and the events of last week, we want to see how the OSP is going to, go about some of these things. I believe that a new path needs to be created because the dangers of vote buying to our democracy, for me, it's not good for us going into the future. The fact that vote buying takes away, the integrity of voters, and it becomes more or less like, some kind of force placed on them to act out of their conscience. It's not something that, would help this country. Issues about legitimacy is also lost, when we tend to, have this much, vote buying tendencies. And so you realize that it is becoming more or less like a norm, in our political settings. I don't see why any politician will say that people have come to vote, they will eat, so I'm giving them money to go and eat. They came with vehicles, so I'm giving you T&T. For me, for you to accept, that is my independent view. For you to accept,
that's your independent view.
Yes.
In America,
yes,
they bus people, or they provide means by which they have to vote from county to some other elections, especially even in internal Democratic conventions or Republican conventions. They do that, and they do that for the main elections as well.
Yes, ethics...
But that is devoid of giving out items and money.
Yeah.
But they facilitate.
Yes, so probably that may be different. But for me, this is how I see it. The ethics, we are talking about inducement, isn't it? And inducement is an ethical issue, all right? So the fact that somebody doesn't have money and you decide to bus that person alone is an inducement, right? And because if I had my will and I have my money and I'm coming to the center to vote, I'm coming with my independent mind. But the moment you put in place a bus as a candidate to convey me to the center to vote, sympathy comes in. I probably will act out of my, natural tendency. So I feel that some of these things are not to be encouraged. I think that you asked what should be done. One single thing that I want to propose and suggest is what the NDC has done, or probably they are doing. Okay. Beyond that, I think that if the political parties could, have a discussion among themselves and, as it were, propose to whoever wants to stand as a candidate in future that if you want to give something to delegates, okay, there's an account you can place money in. Then it is the responsibility of that political party to disburse, from that angle. If the political party has to probably put in place a transport system, busing people, okay, that is what the responsibility is. So for me, individuals, candidates, busing people, providing food, providing TNT, providing money, it's not something that is helpful. The political parties should have a way, of probably taking that responsibility and doing that so that we don't experience some of these excesses. Because for people to start sharing, or gifting motorbikes, whether it is second-hand or new ones, it is very expensive. People start sharing televisions. This one I hear is 32. Elsewhere, I heard some people took, 42.
Where did you hear that one? Where? You say elsewhere, where?
That was in the past.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so elsewhere, I've heard about it. In Ghana here. And I've heard people sharing 5,000 Ghana cedis, even $5,000 to delegates. All right? And when it gets to that level, then what it means is that myself and lawyer will find it very difficult going to contest. I don't know about honorable, but you see, when it turns out that we will need more than $3 million, for you to stand or compete in an election as a member of parliament, that is absolute crazy. And I think that we don't have to entertain any of these things.
Dr. Ataisa has joined us. Good morning to you, Doc. I hope you're well.
I'm doing well.
Good to have you in the studio. But let me just introduce Professor Bafo Ejimendua. Good morning, and thank you for joining. He's a governance expert, indeed. Apart from currently also with the Kufuor Foundation, has played major roles. CDD right here in the early part, late 90s, early 2000s, before joining the UN. I remember I met him one time in Liberia as well, doing some great work in Monrovia at the time with the UN team. And you have commented, I believe, years, if not decades, on the subject. Indeed, at CDD, you did a lot of work on that. You've been continuing to do that. What really is wrong with our system? The system we're practicing where now the voters, on the other hand, are expectant of you giving them. And you who want to be in public office and so will have to be voted to hold that position and contest, you are compelled to give.
Thank you very much, Roland. Thanks for having me. Always good to be with you. This issue is not a new issue at all. It's a perennial problem we have in our democratic processes. From the beginning of this republic, we know what politicians have done to win votes. They began with bentua and salt and lamps in the rural areas, and now it's been graduated into big-time giving, motorbikes and TVs and all. In fact, in the last also election, there were evidence, reports and videos of candidates doling out television sets to people. And I'm happy that this action by Baba Jamal has brought this back into focus for us to discuss. You see, Roland, there are some critical questions we have to ask ourselves. Should citizens in exercising their civic responsibility be paid? We need to answer that question in a way. Should citizens, because one of the key responsibilities of citizenship is to exercise the sovereign right that the Constitution has given you. So in going forward to exercise that right, should you be paid? As a question. The second question is whether we should allow money to determine electoral outcomes. In other words, whether the candidate is qualified or not, is competent or not, whatever it is, should money be the deciding factor? I think if as a people we can sit and ponder these two questions, maybe to help us to find the antidote. You see, because this has been going on for years, we've been talking about it for years and no action has been taken, the politicians have become bolder in doing this kind of naked bribery. I was very surprised that Baba Jamal could tell the public on video, when he was interviewed, that he's a generous man. He gives things every Christmas to people, which is fine. But you cannot say a day or so before the elections or on the morning of the elections, I'm giving these things out, and I'm not sure it will influence them to vote for me. That is really, I better check my ways here, because they become so blatant. And I'm sorry, I know Baba Jamal very well when he was a student and everything else. And if this is a new thing that our future leaders like him, young people who have been blessed to help shape this country for the better, if they can come publicly and defend such an act, then only God can help us. Now, I think this is time, and I like very much what his own parties, if the statements I've been reading are accurate, I like very much what his own party, the NDC, have been saying about this. I've heard suggestions to annul the primary, these elections, and even some suggestion that he be banned. Look, this is the time for the political parties and all stakeholders to come together to pass a bill that makes giving towards election, just as we have witnessed, a crime. There should be a bill to that effect. I know they will hesitate to pass because by and large is in their favor, the politicians in their favor to give out. Those who have money can buy the election. I don't think we want to go the American way of having a political system that is dominated and controlled, so to speak, by billionaires. That is not what democracy is about. And we better stop this process, this thing of bribing their way into elections before things get worse for us. So I'm saying that I heard the previous speaker making a proposal to this effect. And that's why I'm applauding the NDC for the courage they have. And I'm appealing to the NPP. They all do it. It's not NDC, NPP. We have witnessed this from 1990. I came into the picture with the 1996 elections. And it's continued for almost 30 years. We do this naked, blatant.
Prof, would you say that,
yes.
And you made an instant case of, we started off with Bentois and, is it? Bentois, shovels, and I remember they used to give pieces of cloth, in time. No, remember watch Ebasa or Bibi them, So, do you think the phenomenon has heightened or grown because as the country develops, money gets into the hands of many more people? It means that the items become bigger and irresistible for the voters to take.
Interesting point. But rather, I will say that as we progress on our democracy, ethics have been lost. Ethical conduct has been sacrificed. That is what the issue is. When we're already dealing with theft in governance, and this government is struggling with, I don't even know what to say, an economy that had tanked, finding a way to salvage it. And here we are. It's not that people have made money. Of course, people have made a lot of money. Most of it stolen money, by the way. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm blind or I'm stupid. How can an individual buy hundreds and thousands of television sets to give up? Where is the money coming from in the first place? And as a friend of mine questioned the other day, what is in the parliament for one to spend so much? And yet they go there and say, the parliament is a bad place, we don't pay us, blah, 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 blah. Why do they sacrifice so much? in terms of resources to win a seat.
Okay.
Why would somebody who has a dignified position as ambassador sacrifice that to come into parliament? You see, these are the questions we need to ask.
Okay.
So it's not that people have made money.
All right.
It is only because in the course of our development, ethics have been dumped.
Okay.
Nobody cares for ethics.
All right. And you are saying there has to be a law, a bill has to has to be advocated, drafted, and then of course sponsored so that it goes to. But thank you very much, Professor Bafo Ajimefia.
Yes, but one please, a conterminous with that proposal is also a vigorous public education to let citizens and the electorate understand that exercising their franchise should not be paid for. Because they sell their conscience, they sell their sovereignty. Thank you.
Okay, so he's saying that if they bring the money as a voter or the items, 64 television screens from you, I shouldn't take it. Dr. Ataita, thank you for joining us. And you saw the scenario there. What everybody agrees is that we've had this phenomenon, but this one looks blatant. Is out there. A week before, the MPP delegates were on. They were waiting for Brian Echampo, they were waiting for Kenny Japan. They were waiting. Here we are, blatantly, in the public view. People are being filmed real time on the day of the election, collecting the item from stores or wherever they were, etc. And then you have the candidate also coming to buttress that. Again, we've had candidates also come to buttress that. I'm only helping, facilitating. That's what we say. Yeah. And you have issued a statement that's majority because you found the act condemnable. Somebody raised an issue that, you know, who are you to throw the first stone?
Well, let me say good morning to you and to my colleague panelists and to the viewers. I will say that issues like this makes our game very difficult to talk about.
It's a game, eh?
Politics, I mean.
Okay.
So look at the concluding remarks of Prof. He said, what at all is in Parliament that we spend millions to get into that office and later tend to complain about the benefits and perks that members of Parliament get. To that end, I'll say that the current system appears, the way it is showing in the Ayawaso is, it appears that political party primaries have become like an auction system where only the rich people wins. So ideas, vision for the constituency are all, or doesn't matter, or matter less when it comes to who best deserve to lead the constituency. So, Roland, I will say that for me, I want to commend the party, the National Democratic Congress, for the swift response that on the report of this allegation 2 days ago, the party didn't only issue a condemnation. We also came up with a solution. First of all, to institute a 3-member committee to investigate the circumstances that surrounded the whole vote buying allegation. So to that end, I am comforted and awaiting strongly. And the party has already given deadline that we should expect to hear from them by 10th, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow, the 3-member committee is expected to submit their findings and recommendations to the Functional Executive Committee of the party. And then a decision is taken. And
tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yes. And it is brought to them.
Swiftly like that?
Swiftly. You know, this is not something that you require much information. We all saw what we saw. And people should be ready to testify. Sometimes a mere allegation is not enough to crucify somebody. We need beyond evidence. People must be able to stand by their evidence given and then testimonies. Now, the second issue too is that I also want to commend His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He passed the Code of Conduct and Ethics in March last year. In that, the idea was that all appointees of his administration must conduct themselves in manner that will not put the government into disrepute.
Okay.
All appointees sign onto that code of ethics. So, in fact, it should have been a given for Honorable Baba Jamal to have even resigned, because you can't be a member of parliament at the same time be an ambassador. So even a mere decision that you took to go in for the position of member of parliament, it's a given that you
That's
have
a
to.
prerequisite.
Yes, you have to give that position.
Maybe he was holding on to it just in
In
case
case he doesn't
lost.
win. But you see, we shouldn't play
You people
games.
do that all the time.
No.
You're holding on to.
Me
I'm
personally,
not talking
I
about you.
wouldn't. So I was thinking that it should have been a given position that once he decides or he intends to file for this, then, in fact, it becomes a disincentive for you to even try wrong adventures. If you know that there's a possibility of you losing one, you might not even go for the other. So it should have been a precondition that you must resign, like we put in the regulation in the upcoming reorganization process 6 months before.
The one announced by the General Secretary.
Yes. So if it had kicked
So
in.
6 months to the election.
Yes, but because this one is so sudden. If not, if it had kicked in, I can tell you that maybe he would have advised himself not to even go. But this is a situation. So I'm saying that President Mahama has also acted very well by relieving him of that position that should have been long gone. And then, secondly, also acknowledging that party internal democracy is also governed by the rules of the party. Every organization has its own set of rules and regulations enshrined in its respective constitutions. So the presidency could not have directed what the NDC should do. This is not an election between political parties that is governed by the Electoral Commission. This is our internal elections. So the presidency or the government had limitation as to how they can overstretch their authority. And I think the statement was very, very clear to us. OSP, we have had series of these investigations being launched in the past. Nothing comes out of it. My prayer is that we are not leaving it only in the hands of the OSP this time round. The political party and the government has also taken interest in it. So I believe that swiftly this matter will be dealt. But it exposes Ghana's political system, especially political financing. We don't do audit of the candidates' bank statements, their financial, we don't do any of those things. So
You, the candidate?
Yes. So
We need to see
yes,
how
there
much
should
you are
be an
worth.
independent audit of if you are going in for such elections, even OSP should, in fact, we should always be preventive rather than reactive. The OSP should be incorporated in the reforms such that they have access to the records of the aspirants. This is a way of preventing it from even happening.
Why is that important?
It is important because if, for example, they know how much you are worth vis-a-vis what you display, it's a clear case for you to be disqualified after the election or the election to be annulled complete.
So, for example, one of the candidates said that in the last general election, the parliamentary, said she spent in Adenta, she spent 8.5 million. How much did you spend, for example?
No, cumulatively, yes. It's possible you can spend close to 2 to 3 million. To
Averagely.
Average, yes.
But she spent 8.5. That's on the high.
Yes.
Right in Accra.
Yes, also that also is important. My point is that we must be able to interrogate political financing very, very well. In fact, it's a literally...
Where do we start?
So first...
This is something that Frederick Egbert Foundation, with our CDD, and a number of the institutions do.
So I am saying that...
The media,
I am saying that there must be mandatory disclosures of party financing of candidates before they contest election, mandatory. Then there must be independent audit of primary elections expenses. So post-primaries, special independent audit is instituted to go through it and make...
For MPP, NDC,
both, and
now UP.
Now UP plus.
And the rest.
Is it UP or UP plus? And then now disciplinary actions. You see what has just happened. Yeah, that's true. Disciplinary action, what has just happened is because the party didn't have its own internal structure to deal with issues of vote buying. Now we have responded to it by setting up committee. We must institutionalize such an act such that it becomes part and parcel of us. And then education, but that one
For
is
example, we
not
should put in the constitution.
Yes, in the party constitution, that post-primaries, these are the type of things that we intend to do to make sure that we prevent future elections. Because if you do that, it gives bad name to the political class for everybody to feel like for you to be a politician, you must be a thief or something. But I don't think that's the connotation we want to give ourselves. Now, what constitutes vote buying? The excuse I've always heard is that Roland, you'll be hearing it too. I've given some people for logistical support or welfare support. Either they should buy cocoa or they should buy transport.
You will not. Sometimes they don't provide the transport, so they give the money. You go and rent a bus, or go and do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what?
In America, they provide buses, but here we give the money, go and rent the bus.
No. You see, that's the problem. Even in Ghana, the system is not because political parties haven't provided resources for the, voters to commute to where they're supposed to vote in the internal party primaries. Political parties often give transport to party executives to transport themselves. Even the venue where the elections are held is paid by the political party. The monies that you are supposed to give to the police, the electoral commission to conduct the elections is also paid by the political party. What we are talking about here is the money that candidates give incentivizes people to think that they are the better one. So even the legal regime called vote buying is not clearly defined. Momo transfers, hampers, and all those. We saw bags of rice.
Are you put do Momo transfers?
Of course, it happens. So I'm saying that these are very expanded scope of operations that OSP should not only look at one source, but we must expand the frontiers so that it doesn't happen again. But it's one of our very first, if carefully not managed, a very first casualty as a government and a party. And I think the way we manage this one will demonstrate how.
Do you think you're on the right path
yes,
so far, the way you've begun?
Yes, I think so far.
Do you think that it's causing mixed feelings among your grassroots?
Of course.
Some say that it's been happening. Some say that why do you want to?
Yes, of course. And I don't blame them. Because, for example, some might be supporting Honorable Baba Jamal. It will be disheartening to be in the camp of Honorable Baba Jamal right now because he has contested that seat not once, not twice. And this is the only time that he has won. So they will feel that he's been victimized. However, the NDC as a party will look beyond Ayawaso East elections. We are looking at its impact on the political system. We are looking at its impact on good governance, and we are looking at how we can protect the country and the government. So based on that, I wish the committee, the three-member committee, all the best, and I have no doubt that they will do a good job. And then all political parties, it's to all of us that we must do everything humanly possible to avoid future occurrence of this.
So we have the Honorable Totobi Kwache, who is heading. We now have Inusa Fuseni as well, lawyer and the Honorable, and then Lawyer Fuga also in there as well. So it helps put matters in perspective. But let's use, we only have 10 minutes more to wrap up. We wanted to do 24 hours, we can't do that, 24-hour economy. But just to have 2 minutes bite on this, have we set the right pace? Because the NDC says, the majority says, the president has given an indication. It also means that the whole ambit of public institutions seem to have frayed into an activity of, even though we're told that it's a public institution, as a political party, a private affair. And so that set good standards.
No, I don't think we've done enough. And that's why I'm commending the NDC here. I'm commending the NDC and the president. Because over the years, I don't think as a country, we've created that culture that sees politics or that sees power as a tool of ultimately creating virtuous men. And that's why vote buying has gone and people have become even bolder. You understand, to the extent that we saw what happened. So I think we should do enough. And the OSP, for instance, hasn't also helped. You'll recall that Solomon Usu, Ebo Bakman, and myself petitioned the OSP to investigate His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. When Bawumia himself said that he funded the purchase
that one is there.
And we have not heard anything from the
but
OSP.
He's coming to investigate this one.
So it's like, you see, as...
So what's your point with that?
See, I think we should have enough, or we have had enough of the politics of let's do something to represent something. So there's so we just issue. So I think the cheapest thing for our politicians to be doing is to issuing statements. Oh, we are investigating, and nothing happens. You understand? OSP, I'm investigating, nothing happens. Now, I think if there's something that is clear here, from my views and from the view of the professor, is that the issue has to do with even the regime, the legal regime. No, my brother here was asking very serious questions. When we say vote buying, What do we mean? You understand? Raise your questions. So ASAP, His Excellency John Mahama can lead that, being the president, because sometimes bills emanate from the executive itself, most of the time, or parliament themselves. If they are really committed, let's immediately create a law that criminalizes not just public elections, but also all elections. Because we can't have, or this reset agenda cannot be completed if it does not lead to the beginning of the creation of that right political culture that will sustain this democracy and that will prevent it from becoming a plutocracy or a kakistocracy. So I think that we haven't done enough, but what is gone is gone. For me, what has happened is an opportunity for us to start the process of creating that right political culture. And I must commend the president, the NDC.
Your expectation, 2 minutes.
Yeah, so for me, as I said earlier, it has to do with a paradigm shift, right? From what the public don't really expect from politicians in terms of vote buying. Now, so what has been started by the NDC, is it the case that, the nation, the two major political parties, and all politicians will want to sustain it? I think that this is not a bargain. It is something that all stakeholders, especially those within the political enclave, should do. And for me, the way forward is this. One, we should have some level of accountability and control, which is very important, all right? Because what the president, the NDC, and its leadership have done is that they have set a precedent, which, of course, is indicating their willingness to combat the menace. Again, I see the actions as something that have actually raised the bar, for the fight against, some kind of corruption within our democracy. And for which matter, I believe that law enforcement is very important. Lawyer has indicated or has mentioned, Parliament, right? I want to add that the state enforcement agencies should equally do something very much important. And in this case, I would suggest, again, that events leading to an election, during election and post-elections, should be monitored closely by OSP, the CID office, National Investigative Bureau, and others, In other words, they should be involved. I think that in this particular one, the OSP sent some people there, and I hear one of them was attacked, right? Yeah. So I think that this process should continue. Active participation. And what I see, again, is that if this is to continue, right, the NDC and MPP should both, show that level of commitment. The direction that the NDC has set, should be followed by the MPP. Okay, and I believe that once these two major political parties show commitment to fight, I feel that it will all be well. Okay. Remember that the MPP has increased the delegates register, right? And I hear the NDC too has also increased it to 400.
But NDC, their delegates are always more than the MPP.
Yes. Yes, but this time I hear it's about 400,000. You'll be we'll be doing around 400,000.
We are not there.
We are not there yet.
It's just natural based on if electoral commission, they had increased the number of police stations.
Yeah.
So naturally, every police station comes with new set of executives.
Okay. But I know that the MPP has increased yes, and Professor Frimpong Boati and some others
to just about 200 or something.
Yes.
So it's still less than.
It's less than that of the NDC. I understand. Professor Frimpong Boati and some others have also gone to courts, to ensure that both NDC and MPP and any other political party, card-bearing members should be allowed to vote.
NDC did it in 2016. They got into trouble.
So it means that
It's a whole debate. I think that we need to posit that for discussion on Wednesday.
Yes, it means that the structure that they followed.
How do they fine-tune that?
You know, when I was doing my PhD, I went to the office and asked that question, and I was told that some people from other political parties registered and took cards.
Infiltrated.
Exactly. When in actual fact, they were not. So if what they did wasn't a true representation of the
but
members.
But is it not that you create that same scenario if you decide to open up? But the time is up, sorry. Well, I think
yes.
Just have 2 minutes of this.
Yes. So I think that
your expectations.
My expectation is very simple, and is to ensure that this never happens again.
Hey.
I'm sure the standard that is going to be set from... No, it depends upon the outcome of this process. If it is deterrent enough, I am telling you, people will revise their nose. Because at the end of the day, what's the extent of spending so much only to be disqualified or not? Do you know, if they tell them to go for a re-election, they have the financial muscle to do that again as we speak. So if you have that at the back of your mind, that there's a likelihood that if you misbehave, you can be asked to go back again to the polls. And I'm telling you that, depending upon the outcome, if the election is supposed to go for a runoff, I can tell you that a different outcome can also emerge.
This election?
Yes, this same Ayawaso East election. Now, let me just summarize my statement in this. I want to appeal to our party people. I'm speaking to NDC, because as for the MPP, it has become institutionalized. You are talking about the flag bearer election. 700 cities times 211,000 is a lot of money.
But that's for one candidate.
Yes,
that's for one person.
We had 5.
That's 139.
And yes,
some had more.
So
that's 139
million Ghana cedis. It's crazy. But I don't want us this morning to do MPP NDC. That's why I've limited this thing to NDC. I know that vote buying in primaries produces corrupt leaders. Vote buying produces corrupt leaders, and it distorts democratic competition. So I said that ideas do no longer matter. It's like an auction system where the rich...
More of a business.
You get the point. So, and the politicians also recuperate their investments. You think all the money that is alleged to have been spent...
The money you spent in the last year, are you recuperating?
Politicians expect...
You are getting it back?
They expect to also recoup some of the monies that they invested into an election. I'm not saying through illegitimate means, but if you make the expenditure in the elections high, it takes time, and that's why, you see, the reason why people don't leave Parliament early, you know why? It's like holding the tail of a lion. You know, if you leave the tail, you die. You can't also keep it forever. Because they think that, 4 years was not enough for me to do actually what I wanted to do or get perhaps what I wanted to get. So let me go again. So it does not necessarily mean that things are very good in Parliament.
Okay.
So finally, this OSP
intrusion,
it's
investigation.
Okay. It's important. It's okay. But I'm saying that the reform should go beyond just investigation. Like my brother said, they petitioned you. So you are now doing selective application of your mandate, choosing what you want to do and what you don't want to do. But whatever...
I don't understand. Would you say that buying cars for various, is it constituency or for campaign, that's bribe?
Cars, you didn't hear...
How many did you say you bought?
Over 300.
Okay. Are you claiming that's transporting, facilitating transport?
My brother here was talking about financing of
campaigns. Yes, campaigns. I'm saying that, so that's selection. Even the former deputy health minister for Daboya, he bought motorbikes full of trucks.
Deputy health?
Yes, under MPP. The one Mama Shaibu won in Daboya. Yes.
Chenia.
Yes.
Chenia.
No, not Chenia. I'll get his name. So, and nothing happened out of there from the OSP investigation. Yendi, Farouk, Aliu Muhammad, and Ajia Bibata, Baslog, they were. All this happened. But what happened to have you been briefed on what happened? Now, I'm saying that the OSP decision should go beyond just the investigation. It must reshape our party rules on how we conduct primaries. Then financing mechanism, like I talked about, what constitutes vote buying is important, must be clear. There should be clarity of it, and then punitive measures enshrined in party constitutions. Then finally, delegate structure. My brother talked about delegate structure. It comes with its own challenges, to be honest. In 2016, we lost the 2016 elections, especially the parliamentary elections, largely because of that problem. Because if you look at the laws of Ghana, they say freedom of what? Association. So you can join political parties of your choice. So even if I know you are a member of the MPP and I don't have you by evidence of you having their card, but we know you vote MPP, because of the constitutional provision that we should allow Ghanaians to join political parties and associations of their choice, we cannot deny you an opportunity to join the NDC, a mere representation that you now wish to join us. Exactly. And now the party rules at that time said that any card-bearing member of the party was allowed to vote. So people took up membership card to influence who the party should present for the elections.
Okay.
And you saw what happened.
Okay.
So yet they are good side of the NDC delegate system is well expanded enough. Every police station has 9 police station executives and even other founding members of the party, former MPs and ministers who are hailed from those constituencies voting. So yet it is not enough, but it is the best we have in Ghana.
Dr. Taisa, thank you very much for passing through. And I already know, I've been sent a message by Roxy Nelson Dapamapo, the Majority Chief Whip, who says that himself and Mavis Bissell, Member of Parliament for Ahanta West, are ready with their private members' bill. They're ready to sponsor the bill in elections and campaign financing. He's sent me a draft of it. I'll go through as well. Roxy Nelson Dapamapo giving us...
His name, the man I was looking
Yeah.
for, the former Deputy Health Minister for Daboya. His name is Mama Ase Seni.
Oh, okay. You said he bought what?
Motorbikes full of trucks. We saw the videos loaded to Tamale.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So please let the debate continue and then the discussions yourself. Do you think that, well, we need to have these candidates given punitive measures, penalties, etc.? Do you think the election also has to be annulled? But again, we have to wait for the outcome of the committee set by the NDC as well. But thank you, gentlemen, for passing through our studios. Very helpful as well. Early on, we also had Dr. Bafo Ajumanduya on the line to give us a helping hand in trying to expand the discussions further. He's a governance expert, had also been with CDD before working with the UN and the Kufuor Foundation. But if you want to look smart and fashionable, visit any Woodin boutique nationwide today. And Woodin is offering an amazing collection of authentic African fabrics, all ready to wear, coming in beautiful designs and colors for men and women. Now, with Woodin, you also get to be creative and versatile with your design. You also get to show off how truly confident you are, and then how truly African you are in Woodin. So go to any Woodin boutique near you today. Get to choose from their variety of trendy products, all meant to complement your unique style. Follow them on social media within fashion. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll tell you the latest in sports. And then also we have, well, that latest exclusive interview with Brigadier General Nuna Matefe. Please make sure you join us. We'll be right back.